Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. This is Sham Kagur here. Now, before I start the discussion of PTS Economics Paper 4, if there is no issue with the sound, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you please do let me know that I'm audible? Okay, thanks. Let's start then. Let's start the discussion. So this is the paper 4 in Indian Economy series. Okay, I hope all of you have attempted this particular paper. Now, let's have a look at certain very important questions. Again, the process remains same, like we have followed in the last three papers as well. Factual questions, let's not worry about it. Either you know them or you don't know. Let's focus on certain conceptual questions. And as usual, initially I'll be starting with the chapter of agriculture. Then we'll take up industries. Then we'll basically take up the questions on infrastructure. Okay, let's start. So question number 2, with reference to fertilizer in the economy or fertilizer economy, consider the following statements. Statement 1, just a second. Okay. Statement 1, for almost all domestic urea demand, India depends on imports. Center fixes the maximum retail prices of urea and reimburses the difference between the MRP and production cost in the form of subsidy. Sale of all subsidized fertilizers to farmers or buyers is currently made through point of sales devices. Now let's start with the basics here. All of you know that we require a lot of fertilizers, right? Agriculture sector requires a lot of fertilizers. Now in this context, all these fertilizers, although we have production in the domestic market, we also import a lot of these fertilizers. For example, in the context of urea, right, that is a nitrogenous based fertilizer. In case of India, the highest amount of the fertilizer that is consumed between, let's say, NPK is urea itself. But in the context of urea, if you talk about it, lot of the urea is produced in the domestic market. Generally, the demand will be more than 20 million tons. And remaining part of it, how much? It will vary from 1 year to another year. But you'll basically look at the data and you'll realize that a part of it, and not most of it, just a part of it, somewhere around 20% in 1 year, 25% in another year, right? Or let's say 30% in another year. So generally, a part of it, right, not even more than 50% also, a part of it is imported into India. So first statement, for almost all the domestic urea demand, India depends on imports. First statement is wrong. Not most of it, only part of it, small part of it. Center fixes the maximum retail prices of urea and reimburses the difference between the MRP and the production cost in the form of subsidy. What is the basic idea here? Whenever you talk about fertilizers, you can keep urea on one side and diammonium phosphate and a muriate of potash on the other side. Now the basic difference is simple. In the context of urea, the fertilizer subsidy is provided by the government. Here also DAP and MOP, fertilizer subsidy is provided by the government. But the difference is, in case of urea, the cost of production is used to provide fertilizer subsidy, whereas in case of diammonium phosphate and muriate of potash, the government of India has introduced the concept of nutrient based subsidy post 2010, and that is used by the government to provide subsidy for fertilizers. So have a look at the second statement here. Center fixes maximum retail prices of urea and reimburses the difference between the MRP and the production cost in the form of subsidy. What do you mean by this? Let's take a simple example. Imagine here is a manufacturer. This manufacturer wants to sell urea in the market at 900 rupees. 900 rupees, including, let's say, profit. Government of India says, do not sell it at 900. Sell it at, let's say, 270 rupees per bag. Generally, urea is sold around 250 rupees, 260 or 270 rupees like this for a bag of 45 kgs. Now, the difference between that 900 and 270, the difference between that is 630 rupees. Okay, that 630 rupees is provided in the form of subsidy by the government. It is provided in the form of subsidy by the government. So second statement, it is correct. Third, Sale of all subsidized fertilizers to farmers or buyers is currently made through point of sales devices. This has been implemented now. Under the concept of point of sales devices, it's very simple. Imagine a farmer wants to purchase fertilizer. The farmer will go to the shop, provide the details such as, let's say, Kisan credit card or Aadhaar details, and right, using the point of sales machine, a receipt is generated and the fertilizer is sold to the farmer. So point of sales machines are used to provide the fertilizer to the farmer. Statement 3 is correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. Right option for this question will be option B. Only 2 statements are correct. Now question number 3. Any doubts with question number 2? Please do let me know. Question number 3. Consider the following statements with reference to food irradiation. Right? What do you mean by food irradiation? Very simple. Imagine an apple is there. Right? On the apple, radiation, right? That is, radiation is put on the apple. Now, what is radiation? Simply waves, right? Certain waves are thrown on the apple. Same thing can be said with respect to other fruits also. So the process of treating the agriculture commodities with radiation is referred to as food irradiation. Is it okay? Here itself it is very much evident. Treatment of food grains or food products with radiation, it is referred to as food irradiation. Now, what is the reason? Why are we promoting, or why are we discussing the concept of food irradiation? The reason is very simple. Generally, there is a problem related to agriculture sector, that is wastage of food products. Either you talk about cereals or you talk about, let's say, horticulture commodities. There is a lot of wastage that we experience. One of the ways that you can reduce, I repeat, one of the ways through which you can reduce this particular wastage of agriculture sector is by food irradiation itself. Now, whenever you throw radiation on any of these food grains or, let's say, fruits, etc., whatever microorganisms are there which could lead to, let's say, loss of quality over a period of time, which might basically lead to the spoilage of these particular food grains, these microorganisms will be killed. That is a basic idea of a food irradiation. So consider the following statements with reference to food irradiation. 1. It will help in reducing the post-harvest losses. What do you mean by post-harvest losses? Once you harvest the food grains, or let's say once you harvest any of the crop, after that it is called as a post-harvest. So it will help in reducing the post-harvest losses. Statement 1 is correct. By removing already present pesticides and toxins in the food, it makes the food healthier. This statement is wrong, because please remember this. Whenever you use radiation, you can only kill organisms which are sitting on this particular, let's say, apple. But you cannot basically destroy the toxins which are already present in the food. That is not possible through food irradiation. So second statement is wrong. First statement is correct. You are supposed to find out which of the 2 statements are correct. So right option will be option A for question number 3. So first statement only is correct. That is the right option for the question number 3. Okay. Question number 5. Consider the following statements with reference to factors that are responsible for skewed cropping pattern in India. First and foremost, what do you mean by skewed cropping pattern? Now, if you have seen a particular region, let's say there are 2 pieces of land in one region or in one village. Now, don't you think in these 2 pieces of land, there will be certain crops which are cultivated, right? Either you say, sir, it could be horticulture crop, it could be pulses, it could be cereals, etc., etc., etc. Any crop that is cultivated. Now, what is the basic idea of a cropping pattern? Cropping pattern refers to the system wherein in particular piece of land or on a piece of land, how often are we going for crop rotation? I hope you understand. How often are we going for a crop rotation? In which time which crop is utilized or cultivated? That is called as a cropping pattern. Is it okay? That is referred to as cropping pattern. Now, what are the statements related to cropping pattern here? Let's start. Skewed cropping pattern. What are the factors? 1. Traditional social practices and dietary habits of the people. Now, some of you are asking, sir, why do we require, let's say, a concept of a crop rotation, right? Why do we require? Simple. Imagine you've cultivated rice, that is paddy by the way. You don't cultivate directly rice, you cultivate paddy. Or you have cultivated wheat. Right? Either you talk about paddy or wheat, they consume a lot of nutrients from the soil. I understand. They consume means they require a lot of nutrients. But on the other hand, after let's say these particular crops are cultivated, what if you use the same piece of land for cultivation of pulses? Pulses are nitrogen fixing. Or you let's say you talk about nutri-cereals, that is millets. Millets require a lot of, or let's say millets require comparatively much lower nutrients, much lower the water requirement, etc., etc. So are we going for a crop rotation? Are we using the land specifically for, let's say, protection of the soil, etc., etc., right? That will determine on what kind of dietary habits of the people are there in the region. For example, let's say in a region, that example that I've taken here, in this region, what if people consume only rice? This region requires or consumes a lot of rice. Now, don't you think if the demand for rice in the region is very high, the farmers who are there in the region, rather than going for a crop rotation like this or even multi-cropping, they'll simply go for again and again, that is back-to-back cultivation of the rice. So don't you think that skewed nature means uneven cropping patterns will be one determined by social practices and dietary habits of the people. One. Second, crops with practicable diseases, pest control management suitable to the local ecological environment. Whatever crop I cultivate, don't you think one of the factors that will influence that cultivation will be whether this crop is pest resistant or not? Whether this can, right, basically take, or let's say, is it going to be easier to cultivate the crop or not, etc. So second statement is also correct. That will have an influence over what kind of crop I'm cultivating. Third, commercial viability of the crop. Right? What do you mean by commercial viability? I'll cultivate the crop. Is it required in the market? Will I get sufficient amount of income after I sell the crop in the market? Will that not have an influence? Of course, yes, that will have an influence. So 3 is also correct. So right option for question number 5 will be option D. 1, 2 and 3. All the 3 are correct. Right? So any issues related to this, please do let me know. Right? And whenever you're asking a question, please do write the question number. Cropping pattern, regarding question number 5, statement 1, cropping pattern should not be skewed as people are eating same food due to tradition and dietary habit. It will be skewed. What do you mean by skewed? Uneven. What basically the science tells you is you should keep on rotation of the crops, because like I said, you should always keep on rotating the crop, because some of the crops will take out a lot of nutrients from the soil. Some crops will add nutrients to the soil. Best example between these two is if you study about pulses add nutrients, whereas on the other hand, right, let's say cereals consume a lot of nutrients. If you use the piece of land continuously for paddy cultivation, the soil quality will be lost. Right? So but again, please understand this. You should go for a crop rotation, but you will not go for it for a very simple reason. In that region, all of them, let's say most of the households are consume paddy only. In that case, I would want to cultivate paddy rather than cultivating a pulse. Right? That will basically lead to, right, the skewed nature of the crop cultivation. Okay. Now, question number 13. With reference to one nation, one fertilizer scheme, consider the following statements. This has been proposed by Government of India. One nation, one fertilizer. What is the basic idea of one nation, one fertilizer? Right now, there are multiple types of fertilizer producers in India. Either you talk about the urea, or you talk about diammonium phosphate or muriate of potash. There are a lot of, right, let's say, producers. And generally what they do is they will have their own packaging material, that is branding logo will be there. They will have their own brand name, etc., etc. The Government of India says, why should I allow all of you to have different brand names? Why should I allow you to sell different product or the different fertilizers with the different names in the market? What I will do is I'll introduce a new system called as One Nation, One Fertilizer. Under One Nation, One Fertilizer, all these fertilizer producers henceforth will use only one brand name, that is Bharat. Remember this. All these fertilizers will simply use only one brand name, that is Bharat. Right? That particular brand name will be utilized to sell all the fertilizers, whichever fertilizer it is in the market. But having said so, imagine this is a bag of fertilizer. All this fertilizer will not be utilized only for government information. A part of it, right, as per the government document, it says 1/3 part of it. 1/3 part of it will be given, right, that is on the bag. 1/3 of it will be allowed to the private sector companies to basically put their brand, put their logo, etc., etc., etc. Now, some of you are asking, sir, why? Why is the government of India doing this? Right? The answer is very simple. Government says, I provide lot of subsidies. I repeat, government says, I provide lot of subsidies to you. And because I'm providing lot of subsidies, I will determine what should be the brand name. I'll determine at what price you're going to sell. I am determining how much subsidies you're going to get. I am determining in which region you are going to sell, how many bags, etc., etc. So I will decide what will be the name or the brand on which you are going to sell these products now. That is the basic idea of One Nation, One Fertilizer. But having said so, please remember this also. There's a criticism to this. What is the criticism? Most of the times the fertilizer sellers, if you have seen the ads in the TV, you'll realize that the fertilizer sellers, they have their own brand name. And farmers, whenever they go to the market to purchase certain fertilizer, they will recognize the fertilizers based on the brand, based on their experience, based on their, let's say, the output in the last 1 year, etc., etc. That's point number one. That will not be helpful now. Second point is, generally these fertilizer companies, in order to promote their brand, provide lot of training to farmers in the rural part of India, provide lot of inputs, right, lot of training to these farmers just to showcase, just to promote their brand in the rural part of India. Now, even that would be affected. So this is a basic discussion related to One Nation, One Fertilizer scheme of the government of India. It is a flagship scheme of the Union Ministry of Agriculture. Now, most of you will be tempted to say it is correct. So have a look at this. Whenever there is anything related to the fertilizers, remember, it is not the Ministry of Agriculture, it is Ministry of Chemicals. It is the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Okay, it is the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, not the Ministry of Agriculture. For example, who will provide the subsidy for the producers of the agriculture fertilizers? Again, not Ministry of Agriculture. You will be tempted to say it is Ministry of Agriculture. In fact, earlier it was there under the Ministry of Agriculture, but now it has been shifted. It is firmly under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Please remember that. So one is wrong. So if one is wrong, you can use the elimination method and get the answer here itself. But anyways, all types of fertilizers to be sold under the brand name of Bharat, irrespective of the company that manufactures it. Statement 2 is correct. Under the scheme, companies can display their name and brand, but not their logo. This is wrong. They can even provide their logo, but not in the whole of the bag, only 1/3 of the bag where their area is reserved. That is, 1/3 of the area of the bag, it is reserved only for fertilizer companies. There, they can display their logo. So third statement is also wrong. So 1 and 3 are wrong. Right option for the question number 13 will be option C, only 2. Any doubts regarding this? Any doubts regarding this? Let me know. Shall I go to the next one? Okay. Question number 17. Next question, question number 17. Consider the following statements with reference to Green Revolution. Now, what is the basic idea of a Green Revolution? Please read about it. Very, very important for UPSC examination. Please read. What is the idea of a Green Revolution? Green Revolution refers to set of technologies. Simple. What is a Green Revolution? Right? It refers to set of technologies which were used or which were promoted by the government to promote agriculture sector. Sir, what do you mean by set of technology here? One, Government of India promoted high yield variety seeds. I repeat, high yield variety. Very often you will come across a short form of this. High yield variety seeds. HYV seeds. High yield variety seeds. Then there is a irrigation facility. Then there is a concept of pesticides and insecticides, etc. So whenever you come across the concept of green revolution, what does it mean? Simply, it refers to set of technologies. It refers to set of technologies which are promoted by the government. Why? Basically to promote agriculture sector. Productivity should increase. Production should increase. That was the whole idea of green revolution. And remember the context, the background to the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution was promoted during 1960s. And in the 1960s, soon after the independence, you will come across all of this. Agriculture sector was not very well developed. Population was very, very high. We continuously imported food grains into India, etc., etc. In order to address all of these, Government of India basically promoted the concept of Green Revolution. Now, focus on the statement here. It resulted in an increase in the inter-regional disparity in economic growth and development. What do you mean by inter-regional disparity? Right? Even before this Green Revolution was promoted, you could simply divide India into groups, certain groups of or certain regions where development was high, growth was high, and certain other regions where development and growth was low. Now, after the implementation of Green Revolution, this gap, did it come down or did the gap actually widen? And the answer is latter part. And the answer is basically latter part. And I'll tell you why. Some of the northern states, not southern states, remember this, Green Revolution did not benefit southern states. Some of the northern states benefited greatly from the Green Revolution. For example, Punjab and Haryana. Now, some of you will simply say, sir, why are you saying so? The reason was very simple. Look at one of the components. Look at one of the components of Green Revolution. You require irrigation. Now, you tell me, where do you think irrigation facilities are better? Southern India or Northern India? Again, don't talk about today, talk about 1960s and 1970s. You will realize that it was northern part of India. Again, some of you say south. I don't know where have you read it, but it is north, my dear. And I'll tell you the fact also, right? At least it should be very clear to you. Geography. In case of geography, where do you see perennial rivers? Apply what you have learned. Apply what you have learned. Where do you see perennial rivers in geography? You will see perennial rivers in northern part of India. Whereas in case of southern part of India, you will see non-perennial rivers. Again, don't enter into geography. Don't ask me perennial, non-perennial. It's geography. You should have read it. Now come to this. You require irrigation. So where is irrigation better available? In northern part of India. So obviously the farmers in northern part of India were able to greatly benefit out of Green Revolution, whereas southern India, it did not have so much of impact. So already I said disparities, differences were there. Now some of the farmers are getting more benefit. Don't you think the gap between the states, the gap between the regions will basically be expanded? So first statement is correct. It is correct. Second, it helped in increasing the production of commercial crops. What do you mean by commercial crops? Tea, coffee, rubber, etc. These are commercial crops. Do you think Green Revolution covered these commercial crops? Answer is no. Answer is no. Rice, wheat, these were covered under the Green Revolution. So it has helped in increasing the production of commercial crops. No statement is wrong. It widened the economic gap between rich and poor farmers. Again, the answer is yes. Why? Let me give a very basic idea. Apply basic knowledge, you'll get the answers to this. It has widened the economic gap between rich and poor farmers. How do I prove it? Now look at the three parameters that I've written here. You require high yield variety seeds. Second, you require irrigation facilities. You require pesticides, insecticides, etc., etc. Now, do you think all the farmers will be able to provide for all of it? Right? In fact, the machines, the drip machines were introduced at this particular point of submersible pumps were introduced at the same very point of time. So when you have all of these requirements, you need to spend money. Do you think all the farmers will be able to afford all of these? Absolutely no. It actually led to a gap, right, or widening of the gap between rich and poor farmers. So that is the reason third statement is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. Second one is wrong. Right option for question number 17 will be option B. Only two statements are correct. Okay. Now, question number 19. It is a digital ecosystem for providing end-to-end delivery of services to farmers. Under this, each farmer will be provided with a unique identity number, data weather, agriculture commodity prices, and access and information to central government schemes. Which one of the following schemes or facilities is described in the above given passage? Basically, a question in reverse. Right? What do you mean by reverse? Right? Generally, the concept is the name of the scheme is given, then the features asked. Now, in this question, we have done it reverse. We have given you the features. I'm asking you name of a facility. By the way, right option is option D, AgriStack. Now, what is this concept of an AgriStack? Government of India's proposed AgriStack. First and foremost, stack means basically collection. I understand. Stack means collection. Right now, argument is, understand this. In case of a stack, what is the government proposing? Government says, one, I will have a list of, or let's say I will identify all the farmers in India. Point one. I'm talking about AgriStack here. I will identify all the farmers and I'll provide identity numbers, that is representing individual farmers. Unique identity numbers will be given to all the farmers. All the farmers will get unique identity numbers. Point number two. Third, lot of technological products will be integrated. Lot of technological products will be integrated into this AgriStack. And because we are bringing in lot of data and we are arranging the data, hence this is called as a agriculture stack. I hope you understand this. Right? Have a look at this. When you bring lot of the data like this, arrange the data, right? Hence this is called as an agriculture stack, AgriStack. Now, what is the use of AgriStack? What is the use of it? I'll ask you a very simple question. Think of it. Imagine this is state 1. In the state 1, how many farmers are there? I have the data of all the farmers. I have the data of all the farmers. Now, can the state government formulate certain scheme and target only these farmers? Is it a possibility? Answer is yes. Again, only possibility you can talk of it right now because it is yet to be implemented. Second, let's say a bank wants to provide loans only to these farmers. Is it possible? Yes. Third, imagine in the next couple of days, connected to current affairs, in the next couple of days, the temperature in this state is going to be very high. Right? For example, now IMD has stated temperature in some of the wheat cultivation states is going to be on an average 3 degrees to 5 degrees Celsius higher now. But can we target only these farmers and send information to these farmers using the information now? Answer is again yes. Right? Fertilizers, can it be promoted targeting only these farmers? Again, answer is yes. New technology is available. Can we send that information only to these farmers? Answer to all the questions that I've asked just now is basically yes. So weather data can be provided to them. Technological information can be provided to them. You can create specific type of a product, let's say loan product. You can target this. Right? So etc, etc, etc. That is the advantage of having the AgriStack here. Right? So question number 19, right option for this question will be AgriStack option D. Okay. Question number 24. With reference to agriculture census, agri-census or agriculture census in India, consider the following statements. First statement. The agricultural census is the main source of information on a variety of parameters such as the number and area of operational holdings, their size, class-wise distribution, land use, tenancy and cropping pattern, etc. It's basically giving you a definition of agriculture census. Now, just like Government of India conducts population census once every 10 years. I hope you understand this. Just like Government of India conducts a population census once every 10 years, the government also conducts agriculture census but once every 5 years. What is the use of agriculture census? How many farmers are there? How many land pieces are there? What is the size? What is the size of the land? That's also very important. What is the size of the land on which the farmers are cultivating? Are the number of holdings, holdings means number of pieces of land. Are the number of pieces of land used for cultivation, are they increasing? Are they remaining stable? If yes, are the marginal holdings increasing? Large holdings increasing, etc., etc., etc. All this information you will be able to get under the concept of agriculture census. Right? You will be able to get under the concept of agriculture census. So first statement is correct. Agriculture census is the main source of information on variety of parameters. For example, let me give a very simple example to you. Very often you will come across in the newspaper and even in my classes, current affairs, webinars or YouTube videos, wherever I discuss regarding agriculture, I'll definitely quote one data. That is, as per the latest agriculture census, the small and marginal holdings in India are more than 86%. That is, more than 86% of the farmers are small and marginal. From where do you think I've got this data? This is basically from agriculture census itself. So first statement is correct. Agriculture census is conducted once every 10 years. Statement 2 is wrong. Use elimination methodology, you'll be able to get the answer. But anyways, third statement. Data collection for agriculture census is conducted on smartphones and tablets for the first time in census of 21 and 22. This is a very special feature. Please have a look at it. So third statement is correct. So 1 and 3, both of them are correct. Right option for the question will be option C, 1 and 3 only. Sir, why is the agriculture census conducted? Like I said, you need to have data. Imagine you are having a government, state government or central government, don't worry. You are the chief minister or the prime minister. The government wants to make a policy to promote farmers' welfare. Now, don't you think you should know how many farmers are there in India? Don't you think you should know how many holdings are there in India? Etc., etc., etc. That's where the use of agriculture census will be made by the government. And a lot of inference also you can derive. For example, very often they will quote the data saying that the number of women farmers, female farmers has increased. That's also a very good indication. Indication in the sense they are basically getting involved in the labor now, right? Empowerment of women is taking place, right? So a lot of this data will be derived by the government using this agriculture census itself. Okay, so first statement is correct. Third statement is correct. Right option for the question will be option C, 1 and 3 only. In how many years it is conducted? Once every 5 years. Once every 5 years. The earlier census was conducted in 16 and 17. The most recent is 21 and 22. So before that, 11 and 12. So 11 and 12, 16 and 17, 21 and 22. What is 86%? I said 86% of the farmers in case of India are small and marginal and basically conduct small and marginal farming. And that is one of the reason, right? You must have read about Government of India's policies. Government says, I want to make agriculture, right? I want to make agriculture, right? Or I want to double the income of the farmers, wherein I want to make it much more commercial, right? In the sense, the earnings of the farmers will automatically increase. So this is a discussion regarding question number 24. Any issue with question number 24? What is marginal? My dear, this is my concern with some of you, right? Again, I'll answer this. I will not say that I will not answer it. This is my concern regarding some of you people who are appearing for the test series. This is supposed to be known to you, right? Because the concept of marginal, small, etc. is discussed in any of the classes that you have attended, right? So small and marginal. What do you mean by marginal? whenever farmers will cultivate on a piece of land up to 1 hectare. If you're a farmer who is cultivating on a piece of land up to 1 hectare, this is called as a marginal farming. Small means you cultivate on a piece of land whose size is more than 1 hectare up to 2 hectares. So most of the farming in case of India is small and marginal. Okay. Question number 58. I'll club two questions here. Shantakumar committee report sometimes seen in the news is related to which of the following? That's question number 58. I'll come back to this, don't worry. Question number 25. Consider the following statements with reference to the recommendations of the high level committee on the restructuring of FCI. Now, both are one and the same. In the sense, one question is on the recommendations of the committee. Another question is directly taking the name of the person who chaired the committee. Shantakumar committee report, sometimes seen in the news, is associated with management of food grain systems in India. That is the right option is option D. Right option is option D. But what are the recommendations? Right? Let me show you the picture here, or let me show you the question. Let's discuss the recommendations. Shantakumar committee very often is discussed in the newspaper. I'll tell you the context. There are many of these union territories where cash subsidy, that is rather than giving food grains at a subsidized prices, we are providing food subsidy in the form of cash. Recommendation came from Shantakumar committee, and that is very important, by the way. Second, very often there is a discussion regarding food subsidies which are incurred by the government of India. One of the recommendations of Shantakumar committee was to reduce the coverage of the population under the food subsidy itself, that is under the National Food Security Act, which we will see now. Now, what are the recommendations? Let's go one by one. First one, center should not accept surplus food grains from the states announcing bonus or minimum support price. Statement 1 is the recommendation. But what is the basic idea? What is the argument here? Let me show you a very simple example here. Imagine here is a state. Okay, here's a state. Union government or the center announces MSP. All of you will agree? Union announces MSP, minimum support price. In addition to the union government, the states are also allowed to announce bonus. For example, I'll take simple numbers. Imagine MSP is 1000, bonus is 200. A farmer cultivating this crop sells the food grain to the government, will not only get 1000 from the union, will also get 200 from the state. That is a basic idea. That is a basic idea of the bonus plus the MSP. Now, what is the problem with this? Problem that the committee says is, if a farmer is residing in this state, in order to earn more and more income, they will sell the food grain to the government. Follow the argument here. In order to earn more and more income, they will sell the food grain to the government. And as a result of this, supply to the market will come down. All of you will agree? Supply to the market will come down. And when the supply to the market will come down, what will happen to market prices? The market prices will go up. Will it not affect the market prices at which you will purchase food grains now? I will purchase food grains. Right? Food inflation will take place. Traders will have to pay more prices for the food grains, etc., etc. So that is the reason center should not accept surplus food grains from the states announcing bonus over MSP. Statement 1 is correct. It's a recommendation. Second, increase in the coverage under the National Food Security Act from 40% to 67% of population. 2 is wrong. Here itself we can use elimination and get the answer. But anyways, what is the recommendation? It actually recommended that coverage right now is 67%. You should reduce the coverage. You should reduce the coverage from 67% to 40%. What do you mean by coverage here? As of now, under National Food Security Act, we cover 50% of urban population and 75% of rural population. Sum of this totally comes at around 67%. That is 2/3 of total India's population, which is somewhere around 81 crore people. What this committee says is this is unsustainable. You will have to reduce the coverage from 67 to 40. So 2 is wrong. 3. Issuance of 6 months of food grains in advance to beneficiaries of NFSA or TPDS through fair price shop. TPDS basically stands for Targeted Public Distribution System. Statement 3 is correct. What is the argument? Monthly you will procure, right? That is, you will procure food grain, store it month by month, that is month after month. You will basically transport the food grain, sell it to beneficiaries. Agreed? Monthly. Now, don't you think because of this, the cost of storage would be higher, cost of transportation would be higher, etc. But rather than this, what if I simply give you 6 months, 5 kgs every month? So 6 months you are supposed to get 30 kgs. What if I give you 30 kgs and for the next 6 months I will not give you anything? What is the advantage here? Advantage is that the storage requirement, warehousing requirement, transportation requirement automatically will come down, reduce the expenditure incurred by the government. So third statement is correct. End-to-end computerization to address the leakages, to address right theft of the food grains, diversion of the food grains, etc. can also be done. So 1, 3, 4 are correct. Right option for the question will be, right option for the question number 25 will be option B here. Right? Any issue with respect to question number 25? Let me know. Question number statement 3. Is statement 3 of question talking about maintaining buffer stocks? No. Buffer stocks are not maintained for these purposes. Buffer stocks are maintained only for emergency purposes. Okay, for example, read about open market sales scheme now, OMSS, that is there in the newspaper. I hope you are reading about it. I hope you are reading about it. Right, every day there is one or the other newspaper or one or the other news article regarding wheat prices. Government of India, right, basically selling more and more food grains, etc., etc. Okay. So question number 26 now. With reference to Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, recently seen in news, consider the following statements. It is basically on, right, the scheme PMMSY, which has been launched by the government to promote blue revolution in India. That is fisheries, associated fisheries. Factual statements are given. Please have a look at it. It provides insurance coverage to fishers, which includes fish workers, fish farmers, and any other categories of persons directly involved in fishing and fisheries related allied activities. Statement 1 is correct. Again, right, basically it's a factual question, right? Either you know it or you don't know regarding PMMSY. First, multi-purpose seaweed park is to be established in Tamil Nadu under the scheme. Right now, this statement is also correct. A seaweed park is to be established in TN. Again, the reason is simple. Because the Tamil Nadu has a lot of coast, there is a potential of cultivation of seaweeds. Right? So both the statements are correct. Right option for this question will be option C, both 1 and 2. Right? So question number 26, option C is the right one. Okay. Question number 28. Seaweed basically is a type of a product that is cultivated in sea, which is used for consumption. If you have seen certain videos of, let's say, food vloggers who have gone to, let's say, South Korea or for that matter China, etc., they eat lot of seaweeds there. Right, same thing, because these are very nutritious, right? The content of nutrition is very, very high and these are healthy. So we want those seaweeds to be cultivated in India, as well as the consumption also to increase. That is a proportion, or that is a proposal here. But sir, won't reducing the coverage affect already high poor population? Argument is simple. If you talk about the National Food Security Act, we will cover below poverty line population. I hope I understand this. We'll cover below poverty line population. But apart from below poverty line, we will also cover above poverty line, some of the population which does not belong to BPL. That's the reason this committee says. And even if you look at the population which falls in the BPL category in India, as per Suresh Tendulkar committee for 2011 and 2012, 21.9% of the population was BPL category. But how much of the population are we covering under the NFSA? 67%. 67%. Right? So that is the reason. Okay, so question number 28. Consider the following statements with reference to Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, CACP. Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, CACP. It is mandated to recommend MSPs to incentivize the cultivators to adopt modern technology and raise productivity and overall grain production. Right? What do you think is the reason why Government of India announces MSP? Reason is simple. They want to provide certain returns to farmers so that they will adopt right technology, they will increase the food grain production, etc., etc., etc. Right? That is statement one. That is correct. Its mandate does not cover recommending MSP for commercial crops. Please be very careful. Right? In case of the CACP, the argument is simple. CACP will provide recommendation for more than 20 crops. You can divide them into different groups, right? Cereals, pulses, commercial crops, etc. You can divide them into different groups. So its mandate does not cover, right? Please remember, it covers, right? Like I said, more than 20 crops are there. It will give recommendation to even commercial crops. So second statement is wrong. It submits the recommendation to the government every year separately for 5 groups of commodities, like I said just now: Kharif, Rabi, sugarcane, raw jute, and copra, covering all of them. Statement 3 is correct again. Right? So 1 is correct, 3 is correct, 2 is not correct. And you're supposed to find out which of the statements or how many of the statements are incorrect. Please be very careful. Sometimes students, right, you might know that 1 is correct, 3 is correct, 2 is wrong. But because it is UPSC exam, a lot of pressure is there. You might end up making a mistake here. Rather than finding out how many are incorrect, you might end up rounding off how many are correct. So how many are incorrect? 1 statement is incorrect. So question number 28, right option for question number 28 will be option B, only 1 statement. Sugarcane is also covered? Yes, sugarcane is also covered, but please understand, in the context of sugarcane, the technical term, rather than using MSP, we use the term FRP. But who will give the recommendation of FRP to the government? Because the process is very simple. Process is very simple. Here is Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. The CACP, based on various parameters such as cost of production, how much is the supply in the domestic market, how much is the supply in the international market, how much is the right demand in domestic market, in the international market, etc., etc., etc. They will give a recommendation to Government of India. Rather than Government of India, technically you can use the term CCEA, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. And it is this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs which will decide, which will announce, or which will decide the MSP. Right now, the MSP that is being announced by the government is 150% of cost of production. Remember this. Right now, the MSP that is announced by the government is 150% of cost of production. That is the announcement. And generally, when is the government announcing MSP? Just before the sowing season actually starts. I hope you understand. Just before the sowing season actually starts, Government of India will announce the MSP so that the farmers can take timely decision, informed decision as to what crop to cultivate. Right? So that is a basic idea. Sir, whether CCA is equal to CACP? No, my dear. CACP is a body which functions under Ministry of Agriculture. It is an attached office in the Ministry of Agriculture. Cabinet Committee. You're talking about Cabinet Committee. I hope you understand the meaning of the term cabinet. Cabinet is altogether different. One of the most powerful body within the Government of India, Cabinet. Right? So this is basically the process. So right option, or the right option for this particular question, that is how many statements are incorrect? It is option B, only 1 statement correct. Okay. Any doubt regarding the questions? Right? Any doubt regarding the question? MSP comes under which box of WTO subsidy? It comes under what is that? Amber box. It comes under the amber box. Remember this. MSP comes under amber box. Okay. Question number 29. Question number 29. Consider the following statements with reference to the fertilizer subsidy provided by Government of India. Under nutrient-based subsidy, subsidy is provided only to macronutrients. Now, what is the basic idea? The nutrients are generally divided into macro and micro. M-A-M-I. Macro and micro. Sir, why do we divide that into macro and micro? Simple. Even when we talk about, let's say, health, etc., right? Those who are going to gym, you will understand. You will talk about macronutrients, micronutrients, etc., etc. Argument is, what nutrients we require in large quantities, what nutrients we require in small quantities, right? Those plants require, which require in large quantities, we'll call them as macronutrients. Those which the plants require in very small quantities will require, we'll call them as micronutrients. Now, under the concept of nutrient-based subsidy, do we announce the subsidy only for macronutrients? No, right? The government clearly states we will announce even for micronutrients as well, not just for macro, even for micro nutrients. So, first statement is wrong. Okay, first statement is wrong because it says only macronutrients are covered under this. Second, under the direct benefit transfer, the fertilizer subsidies are transferred to final consumers via e-Urvarak platform. E-Urvarak platform, basically it's a system which has been introduced by the government to basically implement fertilizer subsidies. Now, do not be fooled by the term direct benefit transfer here. Do not be fooled by it. Many of you look at this direct benefit transfer and you feel, okay, the term is direct benefit, so the farmers who are using the fertilizer might be receiving it. Absolutely no. Even today under the DBT, the system is very simple. A farmer will go to the shop and let's say will provide certain details, right, such as let's say a thumbprint, right, or Kisan credit card, or even let's say Aadhaar, and purchase, right, the fertilizers. Purchase the fertilizers, and the shop owner will generate a receipt which proves that so many bags of fertilizer have been sold to farmer XYZ. Now, based on the sales that is done, the information will be taken by the government, that is Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Now the government will transfer the fertilizer subsidy to the producer of fertilizer, to the producer and supplier of fertilizer. So even under the direct benefit transfer, we are not giving the fertilizer subsidy directly to the farmer, we are giving it to the producers. So please be very, very careful. Do not be fooled by the term direct benefit transfer here. Right, so under DBT, fertilizer subsidy is transferred to final consumers via e-Urvarak platform. Statement 2 is wrong. Right option for the question number 29 will be option D, neither 1 nor 2. Sir, why are we not giving it to farmers? My dear, the problem is very simple here. Whenever you want to provide directly to the farmers, what is the methodology? You will ask the farmers to open a bank account. Okay, right? You will ask the farmers to open a bank account, and you will transfer the fertilizer subsidy into the bank account, like you're doing for let's say right, for example, the system that Government of India has implemented in direct benefit transfer in LPG. But the problem between the LPG subsidy as well as the fertilizer subsidy is that in case of LPG subsidy, who is the customer who is using LPG, you can find out. Whereas in the context of fertilizer subsidy, for example, a farmer is a tenant farmer. A farmer is a tenant farmer. Tenant farmer means what? You own the piece of land. I am cultivating on the piece of land. Now, if Government of India will basically find out who is the owner of the land and transfer the subsidy to the owner, it doesn't mean that I am going to get the subsidy. That is the reason, please do not be fooled by the term direct benefit transfer. Now, there is one more statement, why it is called as direct then. My dear, again, I don't understand the fact that you should not be asking these questions. I will answer it. You should not be asking. Why? The concept of a direct benefit transfer is that not to give directly to the beneficiaries. Please understand this. Under direct benefit transfer, I'll tell you the problem. I've covered this in the classroom. I've covered this even in the economic survey videos. It simply means you have not even watched economic survey videos. Right? So direct benefit transfer, there are more than 300 schemes which are covered under this. And in these, all of these schemes, government doesn't directly provide benefit to the beneficiary. I hope you understand this. Directly subsidy is not given to the beneficiary. For example, NFSA, National Food Security Act. Do you think the subsidy is directly given into the bank account of the beneficiary? Please understand. Some of the schemes covered under the direct benefit transfer are cash-based schemes. Cash-based, that is, the subsidy is transferred into the bank account of the beneficiary. Best example, direct benefit transfer in LPG. Whereas there are other schemes which are covered under this where benefit is given to the farmers or beneficiaries, not the cash amount. Now in this example, has the farmer got the benefit or not? Understand that. In this example that I've written, is the farmer getting the benefit? Right? Either directly or indirectly, doesn't matter. But is the farmer getting the benefit? Answer is yes. That's the reason the concept is direct benefit transfer in fertilizers. Okay, done. But Minister of Chemicals takes info of farmers. Again, the same argument. You have the data of farmers, but do you think all the farmers have bank account? Point number one. Second, if somebody purchases fertilizer, are you sure that the person who has purchased fertilizer, they are going to use it for agriculture sector only? And there are so many problems. There are so many problems in terms of implementation. Once you become IS officers, they will ask the same question to you. Let's see what you will answer then. So question number 38. Let's go to question number 38 now. With reference to National Food Security Act, recently seen in news, consider the following statements. NFSA covers entire urban population and a rural population. Right? We have discussed so many things regarding this. So first statement is wrong. If you know this, you could get the answer using elimination methodology. Right? So have a look at this. First, right, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. So you already have the right option. But anyways, it is the first central food security legislation that gives the poor a right to receive 5 kg of food grains free of cost. Right? Free of cost. Now, right, what is the basic idea of a free of a cost and gives a right? Simple. Under the National Food Security Act, right? Don't worry, sir, it is asking for incorrect. I'll correct it. Don't worry. I'll go to the final point. Don't worry. I basically said, if you wanted, or if the question was, let's say, right, like this, you could have used it. I'll correct it. Please don't worry. Under the National Food Security Act, okay, under the National Food Security Act, Government of India says it's your entitlement. Entitlement means it's your right. Nobody can take it away. Government cannot deny 5 kgs of food grains to you. Right? So please be very careful. It is the first law in case of India which is implemented by the government, which provides a right to the beneficiaries. It's not any charity. It's a right of the beneficiaries. So second statement is correct. Entire expenses for the scheme would be borne by the union and the state government in a 60:40 ratio. Statement 3 is also wrong. Statement 3 is also wrong, because please understand this. Entire expenses of this is borne by the union government. It is borne by the union government. And I'm pretty sure you must have read in the newspaper where it says, right, Government of India has basically discontinued. Please read about it if you have not read about it. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, PMGKAY, has been discontinued or basically subsumed under the concept of, right, don't worry about the option. By mistake they have put it, don't worry. Right, so argument is the PMGKY has been subsumed under this, and now there is only NFSA, and that's the reason we have told that it is given free of a cost. Now, why this is very important? If somebody says, or let's say in UPSC they give a statement, not free of a cost. Let's say at rice rupees, 3 rupees per kg, wheat at 2 rupees per kg, and coarse grains at 1 rupee per kg. Please mark it wrong. Please mark it wrong. Right? Why? I'll tell you. Earlier under NFSA, please update this. Books will not give you this. Please update it. Earlier, NFSA, the food grains were provided free, at subsidized prices. But now Government of India says for the next 1 year, I will not have separate allocation under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, but for next 1 year, I will simply provide 5 kgs of food grains free of a cost to the beneficiaries. Very important. Please remember that. So second statement is correct. 1 and 3 are wrong. Right option for this question will be option B, because you're supposed to find which of them are incorrect. Okay, done. So question number 38, right option is option B here. Okay. Question number 43, anybody has a doubt? Anybody has a doubt? Please do let me know. Does anybody have a doubt so far? Okay, let's go ahead. Question number 43. With reference to the significance of food processing industry. Sir, but in our village we are charged. Please check it, my dear. They are not supposed to charge. They are not supposed to charge you. Why? I'll tell you. Please read even Government of India's documents now. They are not supposed to charge you. You are supposed to be provided free food grains, provided you are covered under the National Food Security Act. Right? Okay, question number 43. With reference to the significance of food processing industry in India, consider the following statements. Okay, let's start. It gives employment to more than 1/3 of the total persons engaged in the registered manufacturing sector. Okay, it provides more than 1/3. So again, right, it doesn't provide more than 1/3. Generally, it is around 10 to 11%. Sir, I've never read about this data. How do I address these kind of statements? I'll give a very simple example. Do you think food processing industry, which is basically growing right now, will account for more than 1/3 of the total employment in the manufacture sector in India? Just think of it. I do understand. Most of us simply say, sir, we have never read about it. Right? How can I ask this kind of a question, etc., etc.? Apply basic common sense, you'll understand it. Right? A food processing sector has started booming, has started being promoted by the government only in the last, let's say, 1.5 decades to 2 decades. So do you think within the manufacturing sector, right, within manufacturing sector, right, only food processing sector will account for more than 1/3 of the total 1/3 of the total working population? That will be very wrong. I hope you understand. That will be obviously wrong, because you have automobiles, you have steel, you have so many things within manufacturing. How can one sector which has started, which has become very recently famous, can account for more than 1/3? Right? So again, statement 1 is wrong. You can use elimination. So A and B, right, already eliminated. It minimizes wastages at all stages. Don't you think this is one of the advantages associated with food processing? That is, under the concept of food processing, you, rather than allowing the food grains or let's say horticulture products to waste, you will try to reduce the wastages in the food grains or let's say horticulture sector. For example, mangoes will be converted into juice or pickles for that matter. Food grains such as wheat will be converted into atta, etc. So obviously, yes, right, it will minimize wastages at all stages. That is, let's say in warehousing, because food processing is basically covering lot of activities. For example, there is packing, right, there is grading, there is a cold warehousing, there is conversion, etc. So all the stages, definitely yes. Objective is simple. We want to reduce the wastages. Third one, it helps in diversification and commercialization of agriculture sector. It helps in diversification and commercialization. Diversification means what? Rather than being dependent on only one crop, now you will start cultivating more and more crop. Let me give a simple example. Just think of it and answer to me. All of you, I'm pretty sure you have seen a new fruit which is being sold in the market, dragon fruit. Have you heard of this? Some of you might have eaten it, some of you would have seen it, or lychee for that matter. Right? Don't you think that basically represents the concept of a diversification? Right? Diversification. Earlier, these kind of, let's say, commercial crops were not cultivated. Now we want to cultivate, we want to sell within the domestic market as well as export it. So it will help in diversification as well as commercialization of agriculture sector. Third one is correct. It will ensure value addition to the agriculture produce. What do you mean by value addition? Simple. The market price, right, will keep on increasing. I understand. Value addition means you purchase the product, you will, right, do certain manufacturing activity, increase the price, sell it in the market, thereby adding value to the product. So fourth is also correct. Right option for the question will be option C, 2, 3 and 4 only. 2, 3, 4 only. right? So 1 is wrong, you can eliminate it. So option C will be the right one. Question number 43, option C is the right one. Commercialization in agriculture simply means the farmers are cultivating and more sales out of it are being sold in the market, or more and more crops are being sold in the market. They are able to generate lot of revenues, right? For example, earlier I was talking about doubling of the farmers income. Government of India uses punchline which is called as shifting from subsistence agriculture, shifting from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture, right? What is the basic idea? Simple. Subsistence means a large chunk of the production, okay, large chunk of production you use it for self consumption, whereas commercial means most of the production that you have done you will sell it in the market, wherein the farmers earnings would be much higher. So from subsistence to commercial agriculture, and that is a punchline of doubling of the income of farmers. Okay. Sir, but you told in class it gives price stability. In what context are you asking about it? Please tell me. Right? You told in the class it gives price stability. In what context are you asking? Please do let me know. Okay. Question number 49. Right? Onions. Yes, you can use it. You can use food processing to stabilize the market prices. Again, why do you assume that farmers earn more income? It always means prices of commodities are very high. I hope you understand this. When I say farmers will earn more income, why do you assume that prices are very high? Why don't you assume that they could produce more, sell more in the market, earn more in the market? Right? So always do not connect it like this. Okay. Question number 49. Minimum support price. Okay. Minimum support price calculation and a C2 formula includes which of the following factors? What is the idea of a C2? There is A1, A2, A2 plus FL, right? Then there is C1, C2, etc. like this. So remember this, CACP, Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, right? Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices generally will provide MSP under, let's say, around 8 to 9 parameters. I hope you understand. I'm pretty sure whether you have read newspapers or you have read a book, etc., you will come across only 3. You will come across A2, A2 plus FL, and the C2. But these are the not only 3 prices on which the recommendation is given by CACP. I hope you understand this. These are not the only prices, right? There is A1, there is A2, A2 plus FL, C1, C2, C2 star, right, etc. Around 9 prices are actually recommended. For UPSC, you do not have to remember all the 9, not at all relevant. Only 3 are relevant. These are the 3. A2, A2 plus FL and C2. And the most comprehensive means the one which covers all these expenses, or let's say operational expenses, right, or let's say the revenue foregone, interest foregone, etc. That is the most comprehensive, that is C2, right? That is basically the C2 concept. Now, cost incurred on seeds, fertilizer and pesticides. Cost incurred on the inputs. First one correct. Under C2 it is covered. Cost incurred on hired labor, leased in land, fuel and irrigation. Fuel and irrigation again is associated with input cost itself. Right? So leased in land, that is basically the expenses, the rent that you pay. That is also counted under C2. Hired labor, in fact under A2 plus FL itself it is counted. So second one is also correct. Imputed value of the family labor, right? What do you mean by imputed value of the family labor? Imagine I cultivate on a piece of land, I also work, right? My spouse also works, but we do not pay wages to ourselves. Very simple. We do not pay wages to ourselves. We pay wages to hired labor. So when you say imputed value, you should count the wages which are given to hired labor, plus you should also count the wages which you should have paid to yourself. Imputed value of family labor. Rentals and interest foregone on owned land and fixed capital asset. That is basically if I've invested money on the land, right? Let's say I've purchased a certain asset in agriculture sector, which means I have foregone opportunity cost, I have foregone certain interest which I could have earned on it. right? Because I've used this particular land for cultivation, I will not earn rent on it, etc., etc., etc. Right? So basically, fourth statement, it's also considered under the concept of C2. So all the four are correct. Right option for the question will be option A. Question number 49, option A is the right option. Okay. Question number 60 now. Question number 60. Consider the following statements with reference to agricultural financing. Owning agricultural land is a must to avail benefit of Kisan Credit Card, KCC. No, under the Kisan Credit Card, different types of farmers can take loans. For example, a sharecropper can take a loan. A tenant farmer can take a loan, right? Let's say a self-help group can take a loan. A farmer with land is also allowed to take a loan. So have a look at this. Many type of farmers, irrespective of whether they have a land or they don't have a land, they can get access to loans under the Kisan Credit Card, KCC. Right? So first statement is, just a second, owning agricultural land is a must. Right? So first statement is wrong. Okay. Loan waivers by the state government have improved the credit culture in the country. How many of you think state government providing a loan waiver has improved a credit culture in India? Answer is wrong, by the way. It doesn't improve credit culture. Credit culture improvement means what? Farmers are taking loans and are repaying the loans promptly. Do you think loan waivers will promote a prompt repayment of the farmer by the farmers? Absolutely no. Right? Loan waivers by the state government have improved credit culture. No, they have worsened credit culture. Third, interest subvention scheme rewards farmers for their timely repayment of the loans. Statement is correct. What is this interest subvention? Under the Kisan Credit Card, interest subvention is available. Meaning, imagine you have taken a loan, promptly you will repay the loan. Promptly means whenever the date was there, you have repaid the loan. Now, Government of India will basically give you part of the rate of interest. Is it okay? Part of the rate of interest which is paid by the government, remaining you will pay. Which means the government is incentivizing, government is rewarding the farmers who are making the loan repayment regularly on time. So third statement is correct. 1 and 2 are wrong. I need to find out which of the statements are incorrect. So the right option for the question number 60 will be option A. First and second statements are wrong. Okay, first and second statements are wrong. Okay, can I go to the next one? Any difficulty in this one? Can I go to the next one? So fourth statement. What is the fourth statement? Rentals and interest foregone on owned land and fixed capital asset. I'll repeat the statement. Whenever you have used your land for cultivation purposes, you have foregone rent. Whenever you invest on capital assets in agriculture sector, you have foregone certain interest on the money. That is the reason whenever C2 is calculated, all of these factors will be considered. What rewards government gives? I told you, right? Part of the interest government will pay, remaining you will pay. Generally, the interest rate is calculated like this. Rate of interest is somewhere around 7%, right, or 9%. In that case, let's say 3% will be interest subvention. And if you're repaying, right, if you're repaying promptly, then, right, 2 more percent interest subvention is provided to you. Okay. So question number 68. Let's go to question number 68 now. Consider the following statements with reference to nano urea. Very, very famous now. Very, very famous. World's first nano urea was introduced by IFFCO. Is it correct? Yes. Very recently, couple of days ago, this was there in the newspaper again. Right? IFFCO plants, right, have been opened up now. In multiple places, IFFCO plants have opened. Please remember the list. UPSC can ask you that. It can reduce the chemical fertilizer usage. Of course, yes. If you're going to use, right, let's say nano urea, don't you think the dependence on chemical fertilizers, that is normal urea, will automatically come down? Second statement is correct by the face of it. Third one, usage of nano urea will reduce the subsidy burden of government of India. Yes, I'll tell you why. Simple. IFFCO Urea is a domestic company. That is, it's a cooperative in India. Right now, rather than importing urea, right, which we import a lot of it, right, lot of it, not let's say 50 or 60%, generally around 30%. And we pay a lot of money because we are importing it. Now have a look at this. Rather than importing it, what if I produce it in the domestic market at a lower cost? And IFFCO says we will be able to produce and sell it at around 260 or 250 rupees like this. So automatically the subsidy burden on government of India will come down by promoting the concept of IFFCO urea. So 1, 2, 3 all are correct. Right option for question number 68 will be option D here. Okay, option D will be the right option. Next, consider the following points. Question number 86. Inclusion and exclusion errors, higher non-performing assets in the future, fiscal pressure on the government exchequer. Which of the above points could be the issue or consequence related to farm loan waiver by the government? The basic idea for farm loan waiver is simple. Here is the farmer. The farmer has taken a loan from the bank. Now, rather than the farmer repaying the loan, it is the government which will repay the loan, which means the repayment liability will be transferred from the farmer to the government. So first one, inclusion and exclusion error. What do you mean by inclusion and exclusion error? Whenever farmers are supposed to be covered under this, it has been seen earlier experience. It has been seen that some of the farmers who are not eligible, right, were covered. And some of the farmers who are eligible were not covered under this. Right, so first one is correct. Higher non-performing assets in the future. That is, the farmers in the future, because of the expectation of loan waiver, they'll start defaulting on the loans. So the NPA in the agriculture sector will start increasing. Fiscal pressure on the government exchequer, because government is repaying the loan, obviously the government of the state, or let's say government of India, the expenses will skyrocket, right? So third one is also correct. So we need to find out which of the following are right, the impact of the loan waiver, right? So basically it is option D here. Option D, 1, 2, 3, right, are basically the right options. Inclusion and exclusion error, I'll repeat it again. It has been found, as per the earlier experience, it has been found that some of the farmers who are supposed to be covered were not covered under the waiver. Exclusion error. And some of the farmers who are not supposed to be covered were covered. Inclusion error. Inclusion and exclusion error. Now, question number 1. Consider the following statements. Right, sir? Why question number 1 now? Simple. We have shifted to industrial sector. That's the reason. So compulsory licensing is applicable to distillation and brewing of alcoholic drinks. That is, basically it is connected to the concept of 1991 reforms, industrial policy of 1991 or new industrial policy of 1991. Before 1991, most of the industries were under the tight control of government. That is, government basically set up public sector companies or public sector enterprises. But post 1991, what government of India has done is, it has introduced liberalization measures. Under liberalization measures, government says only few of the industries, if you want to open a company, take a license. Simple. Licensing means in few of these areas, you want to set up a company, take a license. For example, alcohol, right? Distilleries, best example. Right, there are many of these sectors. Another example, tobacco, right, or hazardous chemicals, etc. So you want to set up a company in these sectors, take my permission, right? Otherwise, you don't have to take any approval. Go to the Secretary of Industrial Approval, you take the approval from there. So first statement, compulsory licensing is applicable to this. Statement 1 is correct. Okay, statement 1 is correct. Atomic energy sector is completely reserved for public sector. Yes. What do you mean by this? Under the atomic sector, right, that is basically anything to do with these kind of nuclear energy, etc., etc. Government of India doesn't allow anybody else, only the government companies are allowed. So both are correct. Right option for the question will be option C. Okay, right, option C is the correct one here. Question number 6. With reference to EV 30 at 30 campaign, recently seen in the news, consider the following statements. EV30 at 30. It's basically, again, EV30 at 30, it's basically a group of countries which have come together and they want to increase the production, the consumption of electric vehicles. Simple. EV30 at 30, basically it's a target where more than 10 countries, in India is one of them, by the way, and because India is targeting more and more sales of electric vehicles. So argument is more than 10 countries have come together like this. They want to form an alliance, promote sales consumption of electric vehicles not only in their respective countries, across the globe. So that is basically the idea of EV30 at 30. Let's start now. This campaign has been initiated globally with the aim of achieving 30% sales share of EVs by 2030. Statement 1 is correct. Statement 1 is correct, by the way. The campaign supports the market for electric passenger cars, light commercial vans, buses and trucks also. Second statement is also correct. All the G20 nations are members of this campaign. No, all the 20 countries are not the members. Like I said, somewhere around 11 or 12 member countries are there within this particular grouping as such. So obviously, it is group of 20 and I said around 11 or 12 companies are there in EV30 at 30. So obviously, all the 20 are not part of it. Okay, so third statement is wrong. So 1 and 2 is correct. Right option for this question will be option A, 1 and 2 only. Okay, is India part of it? Yes, India is one of them. Question number 7. Which one of the following is correct with reference to the FAME India scheme of Government of India? Aims to formalize micro and food processing industries. In fact, the name of scheme which promotes this is PMFME, Pradhana Mantri Formalization of Micro Enterprises. It is to boost the development of hybrid electric vehicles. Option B is the right one. Okay, in fact, have a look at this. Have a look at this. There are two phases of FAME, FAME 1 and FAME 2. FAME 1 is implemented for 5 years, 14 to 19. Right now, we are in the process of implementing FAME 2, 19 and 24. That is 19 to 24. Please go through these particular points, but more importantly, read about current affairs points. Please read about current affairs points. Why? I'll tell you. Very recently, a lot of discussion has been happening regarding FAME. Right? Why? Many of the companies have basically given wrong data to the government. And remember one more point here. It is the Ministry of Heavy Industries. It is given here. It is the Ministry of Heavy Industries which is the nodal agency for the implementation of FAME. Do not be mistaken. Please don't mistake here. It is the DHI, Department of Heavy Industries. That is basically under the MHI, Ministry of Heavy Industries, which is a nodal agency for the implementation of this. Can be asked in UPSC prelims. Right? And the context why it is there in the newspaper very recently. Many of the companies have given wrong data to the Ministry of Heavy Industries to get subsidies under the FAME initiative. And now the Ministry of Heavy Industries has started initiating the recollections from all of them. Right? So please be very careful. It is there very often in the newspaper. Please go through it. Question number 12. Consider the following statements. Okay, consider the following statements. Higher participation of the private sector in economic activity, surge in foreign investment, increased competition between public and private sector enterprises. Which of the above is a result of new industrial policy of 1991? In fact, all the three are correct. Right, post 1991, Government of India allowed private sector to participate along with the government-owned entities. So as a result of this, the competition between the government-owned entities and the private sector, public and private, competition has increased. Private sector participation has further increased in the economy. And third one, right, the foreign direct investment has actually increased post 1991 reforms. So all the three are correct. Option D is the right one. Any difficulty here? How relevant is 1991 reforms now? Yes, questions can be asked by UPSC. In fact, please check the last couple of years question papers. I believe in 2021, I guess, 2020 or 2021, there was one question asked by UPSC on LPG reforms. With reference to the economic liberalization in 1991, consider the following statements. Right? With reference to 1991, consider following statements. Role of Reserve Bank of India reduced from regulator to facilitator. Some of you would be concerned about this statement in the sense you feel okay, this is wrong, but this is correct. Why? I'll tell you. Earlier, before 1991, RBI was basically a regulator not only for banking sector, most of even the financial institutions came under the regulation of RBI. Post 1991, what Government of India has maintained and has ensured that it is implemented is RBI will regulate banking sector, but other financial institutions or even banking sector for that matter, more and more powers will be given to them. That is the reason why RBI is reduced from being regulated to the facilitator. For example, talk about banking sector itself. More and more powers have been given to the banking sector post 1991. Right? So first statement is correct. Industrial licensing was abolished for all product categories. Right? All product categories, obviously it's an extreme statement. And whenever extreme statements are given, these are most of the times wrong. Right? So 2 is wrong. Use elimination methodology, you will get the answer. Indian rupee was devalued against foreign currencies. In the current affairs context, devaluation is very important. So yes, Indian rupee was devalued. 1992, Indian rupee was devalued. In fact, twice. So 1 and 3 are correct. Right option is option B, 1 and 3 only. Even if you did not know, let's say first statement or third statement, if you know that, right, so second statement is wrong, you could use that elimination. Okay. So question number 40, option B is the right one. Question number 48. Which of the following were the impact of economic reforms of 1991 on Indian economy? Increased the flow of capital. Right? Some of you will simply say, sir, capital means what? FDI and FII. FDI and FII. Post 1991, there has been a huge rise in the inflow of both FDI and FII. Again, don't say, sir, in recent times, outflow has increased, etc., etc. But post 1991, both the inflows have increased. First statement is correct. Okay, first one is correct. Rise in percentage of public investment in agriculture sector in terms of GDP, that is percentage of GDP. Right, the public sector investment in agriculture sector has increased. In fact, the data says, NCERT says wrong. Look at the data in NCERT, it says wrong. Rather than increasing, it has actually declined. Private sector investment has increased. So second one is wrong. You can use elimination method. You can use elimination method. Constant rise. Again, look at the term here, constant rise. Do you think constant rise will happen in industrial sector? Right? Even if you do not know what has been the situation in industrial sector, do you think constant rise is possible in any case? So obviously third one is wrong. You can use elimination. You have already the answer here. Rapid increase in the foreign exchange reserves. Of course, yes, this is correct. 1991, we had forex reserves, which was sufficient only for, let's say, 15 days worth of imports. Today, right, 9 months worth of imports, 10 month worth of imports, 11 month worth of imports, which means the forex reserves that we have built have constantly increased. So 1 and 4 are correct. So the right option for the question will be option C, 1 and 4 only. Okay. Question number 32. PM Swanidhi scheme, right? Street vendors, right? Related to street vendors, right? So PM Swanidhi scheme, consider the following statements. It aims to assist street vendors affected by COVID-19 pandemic. This scheme was basically announced by the government during the period of pandemic, that is in 2020. Objective under the PM Swanidhi scheme, right, basically was to provide assistance in the form of loans, collateral-free loans. There are 3 rounds or 3 tranches of loans which are provided under the PM Swanidhi. The first round you get 10,000 rupees, second round you get 20,000, and the third round you get 50,000 rupee loans. So it aims to assist the street vendors affected by COVID. Yes, right, the statement 1 is correct. It rewards creditors for digital transactions via cashback. Generally, the sources don't provide it, but if you visit the PM Swanidhi website, right, there's the web page for it. It says that yes, by providing cashback, right, sir, how are they promoting digital transactions here? Whenever the transactions are done, the payments are done, etc., using the digital methodology, cashbacks are provided. Rewards are given in the form of cashbacks. So it will reward the creators for digital transactions via cashback. Yes, statement 2 is correct. Third one, non-banking financial companies cannot lend money under the scheme. Statement 3 is wrong, right? The commercial banks can provide, the regional rural banks can provide, the microfinancial institutions can provide, NBFCs can provide. So all of these can provide loans under the PM Swanidhi scheme, right? Basically, third one is wrong. So the right option for the question will be option D, 1 and 2 only. Right? The right option for question number 32 will be option D. Didn't the forex reserves reduce lately? Yes, forex reserves have declined. So what is the problem? If forex reserves have declined, what is the problem? Right? It has fallen down, but please understand. Look at the statement there. We have built forex reserves, right? We have built forex reserves. At that point of time, the forex reserves that were there with us, right, were basically sufficient for 15 days. Now we have around 10 months worth of forex reserves. That's basically a rise in the forex reserves. So question number 52 now. Okay, right? Question number 52. Consider the following statements regarding Startup India initiative. Startups are allowed to self-certify their compliance for certain labor and environmental laws for a certain period from the date of incorporation. Statement 1 is correct. Now, what do you mean by self-certification? Right? Imagine you have launched a startup. And because you are a startup now registered with the government, you are supposed to implement certain provisions of labor laws. Now, one way that the government can check is they will come to you, that is, come to, let's say, a factory, and they will check. Inspection can be conducted. But for startups, right, what the government says is, no, we will not do that. You only self-declare. Right? What do you mean by self-certify? Self-attesting or self-declaration. You are declaring, you're basically giving documents to Government of India and declaring that these laws which we are supposed to implement, we are implementing it. That is a concept of self-certification, and that is one of the features of Startup India initiative. Startups are notified as a fast-track firms, enabling them to wind up operations in 1/10 the time vis-a-vis other companies. Right? What do you mean by winding up? Closing. For example, under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, you're allowed to exit in 330 days. That is, the insolvency resolution can be conducted in 330 days as per the law. In case of startups, it is not actually 1/10, but it is 90 days. 90 days exit policy is there. That is, within 90 days, you can exit the startup, that the insolvency can be conducted. So 90 days here, 330 days, it's not actually 1/10, but a faster exit is allowed. Remember this, a faster exit is allowed, not exactly 1/10 of the other exit process. So second statement, because it says 1/10 of it, I'll simply rule it out. Okay, I'll simply rule it out and say first statement is correct, or option A is correct. Okay. Self-certification will not lead to corruption, not necessarily, right? I understand this. Whenever Government of India gives you these reforms, or let's say freedom, do not always think negative, right? If someone is found to be violating these norms, they'll be penalized. I hope you understand, they'll be penalized. But government says, I don't want to basically increase the difficulty of doing business in India. I want to increase ease of doing business in India. That's the whole idea. Okay. Question number 62, factual one. With reference to index of 8 core industries, that is ICI, index of 8 core industries, what will be the correct decreasing order in terms of their weighted percentages? Right. So basically, 8 core industries they have given here, right? 5 of them have been given. You are supposed to arrange them in decreasing order. Decreasing order means the highest weight to the lowest weight. Electricity, natural gas, steel, crude oil, and coal, right? These are given. You are supposed to find out which has the highest weight and which has the lowest weight, right? So obviously electricity has the highest weight, right? Then followed by the, okay, option B. Option B is the right one. But anyways, let me show it to you. These are the weightages. Electricity has the highest weight, right? So 1, and this is a sequence 1 3 5 4 2, right? And then you can see steel here just below electricity, 17%. So 13542. That's the reason even in the classroom I'll keep on telling you, try to buy at top 2 or 3, bottom 2 or 3, just so that these kind of questions are asked, you'll be able to answer these questions very easily. So question number 62, option B is the right one. Okay. Question number 64. Consider the following statements. Predatory pricing makes market more vulnerable to monopsony. First and foremost, what is a monopsony? Monopsony simply means a single buyer, not a single seller. When there is a single seller, it is called as a monopoly. Single buyer is there, this is called as a monopsony. Predatory, what do you mean by predatory? Now some of you are asking, sir, why this question was asked? Simple. There is a lot of discussion regarding the behavior of the technological companies such as Apple, such as Google, etc., etc. In fact, in the month of December, there is a standing committee report, and even in newspapers in the last 1 week, this was being discussed. The Digital Competition Act. Very soon that will be published by the government. Please be very careful. So what is a predatory pricing? Predatory pricing means lowering your prices to such an extent that there is no competition for you. You're basically going to eliminate the competition. The pricing mechanism is called as a predatory pricing. Okay, predatory pricing makes market more vulnerable to monopsony. No, it will make vulnerable to monopoly. You can have monopoly because of this, not monopsony. So first one is wrong. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs decides on the matters of predatory pricing in India. No, it is Competition Commission of India, not Cabinet Committee. Competition Commission of India. In fact, remember this. The standing committee, right, that is a parliamentary standing committee, says we will have to revamp, restructure CCI in such a way that there is a wing within CCI which will take care of these digital technological companies. So both the statements are wrong. You are supposed to find out which of these statements are incorrect, right? So the right option will be option C. Both the statements are incorrect, right? That is both 1 and 2. Monopsony means, again I'll repeat it, where there is a single buyer, only one buyer is there, it is called as a monopsony. Predatory means reducing your prices to such an extent that nobody else can compete with you. You will basically push everybody else out of the business. That is a basic concept or the outcome of predatory pricing. Question number 71. Consider the following factors. Sudden changes in the government policies, tough competition from foreign players, acute labor problems, entrepreneurial incompetence. Which of the following are the causes of industrial sickness? What do you mean by industrial sickness, by the way? Simple. Whenever through your activity you are generating revenues, but these revenues are not sufficient to take care of your expenditures. That's the simplest definition of industrial sickness. Remember this. Your activity, you are basically able to generate revenues, but those revenues are not sufficient to take care of your expenditures. It is called as industrial sickness, which means you are incurring a lot of losses. Now, what could be the factors which will lead to losses here? One, don't you think government policies changing might lead or will cause losses to you? Of course, the answer is yes. Competition from foreign players. Imagine, right, let's say Amazon will come into India. Will it not lead to losses of some of the companies? Yes, right. If the owner itself is incompetent, right, so that will also lead to losses or industrial sickness. So the right option for the question number 71 will be option D, right? Option D, all of them. All of them can lead to industrial sickness. Next one, question number 77. Consider the following points. Mobilization of private capital, improved fiscal prudence, resource mobilization for the development of new infrastructure. Which of the above are possible outcomes of NMP, National Monetization Pipeline? Simple, all of them, by the way. All of them. What is this idea of a national monetization pipeline? Government is basically putting certain assets which are underutilized or not utilized, unutilized or underutilized, on lease basis, not selling, on lease basis. What is the objective? Government says, I will lease out the asset, get the money, use it for development of infrastructure. Simple. Use it for development of infrastructure. Now, mobilization of the private capital. Private sector, will they not invest money, or let's say, will they not take these assets on lease? Will they not give money to government of India? Will they not make investment in the sectors now? Again, the answer is yes. Second, improved fiscal prudence. Fiscal prudence means what? Government managing its finances. How well government is managing its finances, right? That is called as a improved fiscal prudence. Don't you think government will be able to manage its finances better with the national monetization pipeline? Again, the answer is yes, because rather than only government spending now, government is able to lease out the asset, raise the money, invest in infrastructure. Resource mobilization for development of new infrastructure. Answer is yes. Right now, government will be able to spend money on, let's say, national infrastructure pipeline. So all the three are correct. Right option for question number 77 will be option D, 1, 2, and 3. Question number 78. Consider the following statements with reference to production linked incentive scheme. Right? Production linked incentive scheme. What is a PLI scheme? Basically, Government of India, in order to promote investment, in order to reduce import dependence, in order to export more and more, in order to manufacture, right, more in India, etc., has proposed and implemented production linked incentive. As of now, 14 manufacturing sectors are covered under PLI. 14, by the way, remember this, 14, right, the manufacturing sectors are covered under PLI. Now, look at this. It is applicable to all the products manufactured in India, right? Again, extreme statement. Extreme statement. No. How can PLI be applicable to all the manufactured products in India? Second, the incentives are calculated based on total production. Again, no. In some of the sectors, it is based on investment. In some of the sectors, it is based on, right, the incremental sales. Third one, it aims to reduce import bills related to manufacturing sector. Third statement is correct. For example, under PLI, mobile phones are covered. Under PLI, the electric vehicle battery cells are covered. What is the objective? Produce in India so that import dependence will come down. So only one of the statement is correct. Right option for question will be option A. Only one statement, right, is correct. Okay, question number 78. Now, question number 9. Basically, we have entered into infrastructure now, right? Infrastructure. With reference to recently seen in the news, Unified Logistics Interface Platform, ULIP. Consider the following statements. It is launched as a part of new national logistics policy. Statement 1 is correct, by the way. Statement 1 is correct. Why? Government of India very recently announced NLP, National Logistics Policy. Under that, multiple pillars are there, but the objective is very simple. We want to promote logistics sector in India so that the cost of the logistics within Indian market will automatically come down. Movement of the goods will be simplified. We are going to promote logistics parks now. Exports will be promoted, etc., etc. Right? So first statement is correct. It is designed and developed by National Informatics Center, NIC. Wrong. It is in fact developed by one more authority, National Industrial Corridor. Okay, National Industrial Corridor Corporation Development. I'm sorry, Development Corporation. NIDDC. National, right, Industrial Corridor Development Corporation. NIDDC. Okay, so second statement is also wrong. It will enable the industry players to get secure access to the information related to logistics available with various ministries. Let me show you a picture. Please have a look at the picture. Do not by heart the picture. Please do not by heart the picture. What I'm trying to show here is these are the various types of tools, right, within logistics sector which are used by different ministries. What we are trying to do under the ULIP, that is Unified Logistics Interface Platform, is we want to connect all these interfaces which are used by different ministries. Simple. We want to connect all of them so that at a single point, all this information is accessible. I hope you understand this. It will enable industry players to get access to the information related to logistics available with all the other ministries. Right? Third statement is correct. Okay, third statement is correct. It will give direct and indirect benefits to all the logistics stakeholders. Stakeholders means participants. I hope you understand. Stakeholders simply means participants. Will it not benefit participants, whether they are directly or indirectly involved? Will it not benefit the participants? Of course, the answer is yes. So 1, 3 and 4, three statements are correct. Right option for the question will be option C. Only three statements are correct. Okay. Question number 11 here. Which of the following activities are covered under 4 pillars of Sagarmala initiative? Right, Sagarmala initiative. Under the concept of Sagarmala initiative, the government of India says the ports in India, right, these are either underdeveloped or we need more ports. Simple. Ports are there, but underdeveloped. We want to develop it. Sir, how can we develop the ports? By better technology introduction. By introducing new technology or a better technology in the port. So develop new ports or right improve the existing ports. And a lot of these ports are not connected to other regions. Develop connections. Sir, how? Roads can be constructed. Railway lines can be developed here. Right? And these regions, that is a coastal regions, why don't we promote industries in the coastal regions? Industrialization in the coastal regions. That's a third pillar, by the way. And the fourth one is coastal community development. Right? Ports should be developed. That is, let's say shipping lanes should be developed. The fisheries should be developed, etc., etc. So these are the 4 pillars. Now, what are the important points here? Creation of greenfield ports. What is the idea for greenfield ports? Simple. Development of new ports. Again and again, I keep on telling you this idea. Greenfield means developing new ports or new infrastructure. Brownfield means existing ports are there. We will basically restructure them, introduce new technology, etc. So whenever existing infrastructure is used, we call it as a brownfield. Whenever new infrastructure is completely developed, it is called as a greenfield. So creation of greenfield ports, yes. Capacity enhancement of the brownfield ports, again yes. Inland water transport infrastructure development. For example, second pillar that I told you was these ports are not well connected with other parts of India. And I said for connection, you can develop, let's say, the road connectivity, right? You can develop the railway connectivity. You can even develop inland waterways. Inland water transportation can be used. Acquisition and development of ports in neighboring countries. This is not a part of Sagarmala initiative. Please remember, this is not a part of Sagarmala. Upgradation and creation of roads. Yes. Fish processing centers. Yes. So wherever 4 is there, you simply eliminate it. The right option for the question will be option B. Right? 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6 only. So question number 11, B is the right option. Arrange the following modes of transport infrastructure in decreasing order of their cost of logistics. Sir, what is the connection here? Why have you given this question? Simple. National Logistics Policy. Right. Now, as per Government of India's document, the road transportation is the most costliest. Out of all of them, road incurs a huge amount of cost. So highest will be 2. Right. So obviously there are 2 options starting with 2. Second one, right, is railways. Obviously, it has to be railways. Third one is, right, the pipelines. Remember this. The third one, third one is pipelines. Now, what is this? Just a second. Waterways. My mistake. Right. So, third one is waterways. Waterways is there. I thought of something else. Right. Waterways. Third one is waterways. And fourth one is pipelines. Okay, so road has to be highest. Road, 1 second. Road has to be highest, correct. Rail followed by it, correct. Okay. Waterways and pipelines. 2, 1, 3 and 4. Is it okay? 2, 1, 3 and 4. Right, so option D is the right one. Sir, what is pipelines? My dear, if you are transporting, let's say, crude oil, I understand. If you are transporting crude oil through pipelines, that's a basic idea. Okay. For example, you must have seen pipes. Basically, big pipelines are connected to transport, let's say, certain gas, certain oil. It's okay. Nord Stream pipeline. Right? Somebody said it's a Nord Stream. Absolutely correct. Nord Stream. Right. So the right option for the question number 16, right, is option D. Option D is the right option. Okay, so 16, this is the option. Please go through this. 41, with reference to Gati Shakti, National Master Plan, sometimes seen in the news, consider the following statement. Very recently, right? Very recently, question number 41 related to this concept was there in the newspaper. That is Delhi-Mumbai Expressways. Delhi-Mumbai Expressways. Is not construction of pipeline maintenance much expensive than waterways? Do you think waterways are cheaper? Just think of it. Do you think waterways maintenance, construction maintenance of waterways is cheaper? Right? Absolutely no. Right? They are also costlier. Right? So, okay. Coming back to this, Gati Shakti National Master Plan. In what context? Delhi-Mumbai Expressway. Delhi-Mumbai Expressway has been developed considering the concept of Gati Shakti Master Plan itself. Can be asked. Please be very careful. Let's start. It will incorporate the infrastructure schemes of various union ministries and state governments. Statement 1 is correct. The whole idea is simple. Right now, you generally see that the ministries are working in silos. Silos means they are working independent of each other. Government of India says, no, I don't want that to happen. We want these ministries, around 16 plus ministries have been brought under one system. They will keep on sharing with each other the information, plans will be shared so that the projects are implemented in sync. That is, there is efficient utilization of resources and implementation of projects. So first statement is correct. Economic zones like textile sector, pharmaceutical clusters, defense corridors, electronic parks, etc. will be covered under this. In fact, second statement is also correct. If you've heard to the speech of the Minister of Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, when this inauguration was being done for Delhi-Mumbai Expressway corridor, this announcement was done by the minister himself. Right. So second is also correct. It will enable all government departments to have visibility of each other's projects through a centralized portal. Right. That's also correct. That's a whole object of having the Gati Shakti National Master Plan. So 41 right option for the question will be option D, 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So how many more questions are there? Couple of more questions. Don't worry, we'll finish it. Consider the following statements with reference to land load port model. Visakhapatnam port became the first 100% landlord major port of India. Statement 1 is wrong. Okay. Statement 1 is wrong. What is the idea of a landlord port model? Landlord simply means somebody owns the land and the facilities will be utilized by someone. Basic idea of a landlord. Landlord means, imagine you are a landlord, zamindar by the way, you own the land, I will use the land for cultivation purpose. Apply the same logic in a port. Port is an infrastructure. You will own it, but you will allow me to use the, right, let's say infrastructure, but you will collect money on it. That is called as a landlord port model. So Visakhapatnam, no, it is a JNPT, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. First one is JNP. Okay. So first one is wrong. Second one, under this model, transfer of ownership to the private sector takes place. Again, absolutely no. Right? No, basically the assets are leased out, not sold. So second one is wrong. Which of the above are incorrect? Option C, both the statements are incorrect. Right option for the question number 45 is option C. Question number 54. Consider the following. Improved export competitiveness, reduced turnaround time for containers, reduced cost of transportation of domestic cargo. Successful implementation of Sagar Mala will result into which one of the above? All the three. Right? Export competitiveness, For example, right, have a look at this. I'll start with the second one. Turnaround time means how much time is taken for the ships to come to the port, right, remove the containers and go. I hope you understand. Turnaround time means how much time will be taken by the ships to come to the port, right? Basically remove the containers, put it on the port and go. That is called as a turnaround time. If I'm going to develop new ports, develop, let's say, existing ports, technologically better, right, equipped, don't you think turnaround time of the containers will automatically come down? Yes, right. The turnaround time, it is called as a TAT, turnaround time will come down, right? That's statement is correct. As a result of this, right, because the ships will be able to come faster in the sense come, right, remove the containers and go, the clearing of the ships will happen faster, cost of logistics is expected to come down, inland waterways are supposed to be used now, right, railways are supposed to be connected, industries are supposed to be developed nearby the port itself, all of them will lead to export competitiveness. First one is also correct. Third one, reduce cost of transportation, right? Reduce cost of transportation of domestic cargo. Yes, that is also an outcome. So right option for the question is option D, 1, 2 and 3. This kind of a direct and easy questions will be asked. Of course, yes, right? UPSC is unpredictable. If I ask you difficult question, you will ask me, will this kind of a difficult question be asked, right? Again, the answer is yes. So either ways, be ready. Be ready. Either ways, please be ready for the kind of questions in UPSC. Okay. Consider following statements with reference to power sector. In India, average cost of supply is generally higher than average revenue realized. Again, a straightforward question. Reason is simple, because power sector very often is there in the newspapers. And do not search for these in the newspapers. I'm sorry, books. In books, this information is not there. It is basically from current affairs. In India, ACS is higher than ARR. Yes, that is one of the reasons why the discoms are incurring losses, which means, right, ACS means the money that is spent to supply electricity. ARR means how much money is collected after supplying electricity. So they are spending more, collecting lesser. So it is leading to losses in the discom, right? One. Right. Second, aggregate technical and commercial losses vary from one state to another state, right? Yes, right. Yes, that is also correct. What is this idea of aggregate technical and commercial losses? Power theft, right? Inefficient collection in bills, inefficient billing itself, etc., etc. From one state to another state, it will keep on varying. Third, right, basically AT&C losses will affect the financial health of the distribution companies and have implications on power tariff. Yes, if the discoms are incurring losses, don't you think they will have no option but to have higher level tariffs to some of the consumers at least? Yes, again the statement is yes. So which of the above statements are correct? All the statements are correct. Option D is the right one. Okay. Sir, in my state we steal the electricity. Great. Don't do that. Consider following statements with reference to ethanol blending in India. India has set 2030 as a target for 20% ethanol blending with gasoline. Statement 1 is wrong. In fact, this has been preponed now. Statement 1 is wrong. Earlier it was 2030. Now it has been preponed. Right now, more than 10% blending has already happened. Okay. Ethanol blending will help reduce our oil imports. Of course, yes. Again, a straightforward question regarding ethanol. Now, why question on ethanol has been provided? Please read about E20 fuel. Very recently, Government of India has launched an initiative by the name of E20. Please read about it. Question can be asked on the concept of E20 in the UPSC. Right? Please be very careful. Ethanol blending will reduce imports. Yes, that is one of the objectives of the consumption or the promotion of ethanol blending. So you need to find out which of the statements are correct. Option B, that is the second statement, is correct. Okay. Question number 80. What are the benefits of using aluminum wagons in freight trains? That is being promoted now. Rather than using, let's say, steel or iron wagons. Wagon means the bogies, railway bogies. Now there is this particular promotion of aluminum bogies in the railways. Okay. Now, what are the advantages? One, carry extra payload. Answer is yes, by the way. Because these aluminum bogies, or let's say aluminum wagons, are comparatively lighter, and they can carry more weight compared to the other type, that is, let's say, steel type of bogies. In fact, many surveys shows that around 190 kgs extra, 170 to 190 kgs extra per bogie per wagon can be carried under the aluminum wagons. So first one is correct. Lower carbon footprint, these are lighter. Lighter means the fuel that will be consumed to run these would be lower, so emissions would be lower. So second one correct. Recyclable, that is one of the best advantages related to aluminum wagons. These are recyclable, can be used again and again. Third one is correct. Lower maintenance cost. Yes, a survey has shown that, right, the cost of maintaining this is actually lower. So all the four are correct. Right option for the question number 80 will be option D here. Okay. Finally, those who are asking, sir, right, how many more questions? Last question. Consider the following statements with reference to e-rupee. How it is going to lower the carbon footprint? Simple. Because these are lighter, the fuel that you are going to consume to run these wagons, or let's say bogies, would obviously be lesser. It's basic science, right? Lighter means lower consumption of fuel, and lower consumption of fuel means, right, basically, right, the emissions will also be lower. Okay, right? So have a look at this. Next one, question number 94. Consider the following statements with reference to e-rupee. It is an electronic voucher based digital payment system, right? Multiple current affairs videos we have been discussing this. Statement 1 is correct. It's a digital payment based voucher system. That's it, right? It's a voucher system where QR code will be sent to you. You will go to, let's say, a service provider, show the QR code, give the OTP, and get the access to the good or a service. So first statement is correct. No physical transfer of money to the beneficiary happens in the system. It's in fact correct, right? The government is not providing you money because there's a concern that it might not be reaching the right beneficiary. Even if it reaches the right beneficiary, what is the guarantee that the beneficiary will use the money for right purpose? So there is a concern. That's the reason government says, I will give you voucher. Using the voucher, you can get specific product in the market, either good or a service. You cannot use it for anything else. So money will not be transferred. Statement 2 is correct. To avail these services, beneficiary must have a bank account. Absolutely no, it is not required. Bank account is not required. That is one of the advantages of e-rupee. Because under, let's say, direct benefit transfer in LPG, you're supposed to have a bank account. In many of the other cases, you're supposed to, I'll give you one more example, PM Kisan, you're supposed to have a bank account, right? But rather than this, under e-rupee initiative, even if you don't have a bank account, or irrespective of whether you have or you don't have, you will get a voucher. That's it. You will get a QR code or a string of messages. Using that, you can get access to the goods or service. So this e-rupee cannot be, or the account is not necessary for e-rupee. So 1 and 2 are correct. Right option for the question number 94 will be option A here. Can alcohol be brought? Government of India as of now has not announced it. If they have announced, right, purchase, enjoy, right? But why do you think Government of India will give you e-rupee for purchasing alcohol? Right? Do you think government will promote the consumption of alcohol? Right? So just think of that as well. Okay, done. So these are the questions that I wanted to discuss. And most of the questions that I've taken here and there, some of the questions are factual. I've taken them because these are from current affairs. That's the only reason. For example, the ACS and ARR thing, right? The DISCOM issue, etc. You will not get it in books. These are from current affairs. So these are the questions that I wanted to cover for today. Please attempt the subsequent test as well. Right, the CSAT will start very soon. Right, the full length test will also start very soon. Right, but before that, subject to tests are there. Please attend them. Attend even the discussion related to these tests, which will be scheduled every week on Wednesday like this. Okay, so that's it from my side. Take care. All the best for your subsequent, or let's say, future exams that you are going to appear. Thank you. Good night.